this week's edition of Now You Know Sports. I'm Creighton.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Mike.
And as you can see, we're joined by Stephanie Winiarski, fabulous host and leader of the DISH program. So, if you may or may not remember, but last spring I came on your show.
You did come on my show. You were nice enough to, come over for a special sports dish cross, edition. So.
And this year you're returning the favor, coming on sports. Mike's here also. And you know what? We're going to get into our first topic. And because you're here, we need your advice. What are the best and worst uniforms in sports?
You know what? I was hoping this would be the topic this week, and because I've got some pretty strong opinions on this. Now, the biggest thing about sports uniform is, it has to look good and it has to be easily recognizable, and those are my big things. That's why, for starters, my favorite sports uniforms in all the world of sports would be the Yankees, because pinstripes are classic and it's easily recognizable as, the Yankee dynasty right there, and it, just transcends time. The Yankees is a classic uniform, white and navy, can't go wrong. I also am really partial to the Lakers because the gold and purple, it's such a great color combination, very recognizable, very powerful. I like that. Football, I'm a big fan of, a couple of the bird team uniforms. I really like the Falcons, big fan of those uniforms. Let's talk about some uniforms that I really don't like. The San Diego Chargers, I'm over the light blue craze. That's so circa Justin Timberlake and NSYNC, via 2003. Let's move on. Let's get some better uniforms here. The Pirates, Pittsburgh Pirates, you guys are not making the grade. We're cutting those out too. Other things I really don't like, I actually have a really strong, passionate dislike for the San Jose Sharks uniform. And it doesn't just stem from the uniform. It stems from the fact that on the uniform, there is a shark with a hockey stick in its mouth. Now, let's think about this. First of all, a shark is not a ice animal at all. It's at least intimidating, which is why our biggest pet peeve about mascots is when they're not intimidating. But it has no relation to hockey, and then you're going to put a hockey stick in its mouth. How is it going to play hockey with a hockey stick in its mouth? It's so stupid.
I almost guarantee a Canadian designed that uniform because they thought it was intimidating and it's hockey, and I'm sure Jenna could explain the logic for us, but she's not here right now. But we understand your passions. But Mike, tell us what's wrong, and please say something about the Lakers, because I can't believe she said the Lakers have a great jersey.
Well, all right, first things first. Since we had a pro-Yankees comment, I got to give a shout-out to the Texas Rangers for making the World Series. Great year to be a Yankees fan, I think. And now back on the uniforms for a second. I'm not really sure best uniforms. Agree with you on some of them. Lakers, kind of a waste of time. I don't really care what the uniforms look like. But the worst one I've ever seen is got to be the Denver Broncos throwback jerseys. Between the yellow, brown, and the striped socks all mixed together, I actually think they look absolutely ridiculous in those uniforms.
All I can remember is Brandon Marshall playing the Pats last year in Denver, and by the third quarter, his socks were all twisting around. It was
not pretty.
Let's
just
just
a big mess.
leave it at bad luck. But we have to move on. So last time when I was on the dish, Nike had just revealed their Tiger Woods ad featuring Earl Woods' voice talking to his son, and it was, let's just call it creepy. We're not a huge fan of it. Recently, Nike has released a new LeBron James ad called Rise, and it talks about his redemption following his summer following the decision. Mike, what do you think of it?
I don't like the ad whatsoever. I really haven't liked any of the moves LeBron James has made recently. The first big mistake he made was making that hour-long decision episode. That was completely ruined his image, and I think this doesn't help it either. The way he went about the commercial, the way he basically, being a part of basketball, being a part of professional sports, having the fans on your side, having the fans come to games is always a big part of the game. I think he pretty much just pushed fans away with his commercial even further now. And then some of the comments he made during it, there's a part where he talks about he's reading poetry, and it's Maya Angelou's Still I Rise poem. I don't think that has any correlation to NBA basketball, his lifestyle whatsoever. I don't think that should have been in there. I don't think he should have that what should I do throughout the whole commercial. I just feel like he's pushing fans away. He's not helping his image whatsoever.
All right, Stephanie, break it down.
Here's my thoughts on it. LeBron James is great for the game of basketball. Regardless, love him, hate him, you talk about him, and that's what pushes NBA basketball back into the limelight. It's not always been the most popular sport in the U.S., and I think when you have the superstars that are going to drive that, then that's what's going to bring it back to its heightened sense of popularity. And this commercial may not be super great for LeBron's image, but I think it really embraces his like standpoint of like where he stands, and it just, what do you want him to do? Like that's the question he's posing, and for him to stand up to his critics, I give him props. It's so much better than the Tiger Woods commercial, and I think the most important thing is that overall, it's going to be a positive thing for NBA basketball.
I would agree with that to the extent that it brings attention to basketball, but at the same time, is that the attention NBA wants? I feel like they'd rather the skills of the players, the championships, going into the playoffs, having the hype of playing each other. I don't think they want the hype of commercialized athletes with huge egos.
I think it actually plays off a lot of his strengths. He was known for being gregarious and a fun-loving guy, playing with his teammates before games. Here he is, making jokes at Charles Barkley's expense. I think it talks about how he's embracing his new image that not everyone likes him anymore. He's kind of a hated guy. I think it's good. I think it's what they had to do. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this season turns out. And, once they start out with, if they go 20-10 the first beginning of the season, it'll be really interesting to see how he's embraced by the national media, because I definitely agree. The decision was the worst thing he could have done. It'll be real interesting to see how he comes back from this. But we have a third topic now. BC football is, let's just call it struggled this year.
Struggle bus. We are riding the struggle bus.
Why should you go to the Virginia game this year?
Here's the thing. A team is only as good as its fans. And if we're not going to support our team through the rough times, then why should we, we can't be fair weather fans. And I think that's all what's going to come back to is the fact that as a school, we should have enough school spirit and pride in our work and our team and our fellow classmates to go out and at least show up to the games. The game attendance these past couple weeks has been pathetic. It's Saturday, 1 o'clock, like, get up, go, enjoy the game, like, make it a social event. And that's like probably the worst thing any sports fan wants to hear. But the more you stop going to those games, like the more it becomes BC culture. And there are some schools out there that don't have football teams. And like I have friends who go to those schools, and you don't want to be those schools. They don't have school spirit. And that's not what drives people to come to BC. And I think once we stop going to those games, then we lose a big aspect of what makes us super fans.
All right, Mike.
I actually have to agree with that completely. To have school spirit, you've got to go to these games. I mean, being a big football fan, they're kind of tough to watch, to say the least. If you want to go there to see good football, that probably shouldn't be your decision. I think the school spirit's the way to go.
All right, well, I agree. It's going to be our last game of the year by the time Virginia comes to town. Hopefully the weather will be nice, but if it's ugly weather, it might be an ugly team playing. It'll be tough to get people out there. But that's all the time we have today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to throw it back to the host.